Give me 1 second. It looks like this program shut down. I didn't realize.
I don't know who this Ron guy is, but he's super helpful in Washington. He said, I don't know if you're aware of it or not. He said, but you might look at posting your car on oldcarraffle.com. It's a site that lists car raffles, new cars as well, classics for charitable organizations. So that's pretty cool. I have to look that up here in a little bit.
Oh my God. I just got a text. Hey, cool cat. Chip Adams here.
He's a mess. He calls us superheroes.
He said, so cool, you guys. I'll get that documentation out to you later today and figure out exactly what we need to do. I had my booster shot this week, and it's got me dragging.
Yeah, dude's yeah. Well, we need to have a podcast on old movies. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. You ever heard of that movie?
Mm-mm.
Come on.
Yeah, it's crazy. No. Say, look up Spicoli. He's the smoker dude.
What? Spicoli?
Spicoli. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Jeff Spicoli. Anyway, Chip Adams reminds me of Spicoli.
That's awesome.
You need to watch that movie.
Listen to this.
Yeah.
That's my skull.
Who ordered a pizza? Right here, dude.
This guy?
Yep, that's him.
Is this an 80s movie?
That's what Chip looks like, and he acts like him, and he's an awesome bass player, but he reminds me of Spicoli so much. He ordered a pizza sitting in class one day, and the teacher said, and the teacher got on him. He said, well, seeing how you're teaching on your time and I'm here on my time, I figured I could have some pizza on my time.
Oh, my God.
So that's the time when I was in high school. So it was a prank. Kids would do that, randomly order pizza, and we'd get a call in class, and the teacher would say, you're not bringing that down here, and they would all start laughing. Anyway.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, in the 80s, kids were ordering pizzas instead of shooting people in high school.
Wow. That's funny.
The golden days.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was going to say I'm ready when you are, but we can try something new if you want, but we don't have to. I can't remember if we've done it before, but I have this on the board. And basically I can play it and you can come in and start talking whenever.
Sounds good to me. I think it's great.
Give it a shot?
Yeah.
All right. And we can do a take two. I doubt we'll need it, but, just FYI.
We're getting good at BSing.
Yeah. Y'all ready?
Yep. Ready.
All right, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Shirley Talk. I am Mike Mulroney.
And I'm Kelly Duckworth.
You a doctor, Kelly?
Nope.
Nurse?
Nope.
Pediatrician?
Nope.
What's another good word for doctor?
Nurse practitioner.
How about what's the one that works on animals? I'm drawing a blank today. I can't think. Yeah, veterinarian. You a veterinarian?
Gosh, no.
I'm really struggling with remembering things today. Is that good or bad?
It's probably bad. Sign of old age.
Well, it was Derby this weekend, and I guess I had a little too much bourbon, but it was fun. Did you win any money?
No, I lost a lot of money.
Yeah, well, and sorry to hear that. I didn't bet. We went to the lake and we had a TV set up on the porch and was going to watch the races and got sidetracked. And I'm not sure I watched a race, to be honest.
Wow. No, we had a big bouncy. Well, we got it for the kids, but it had jousting and all this stuff on it. So by the end of the night, we were all pretty.
So the kids didn't get to play, but you all did.
They played during the day, and then when they all went to their babysitters, the adults got on there.
Yeah, I'm glad we do podcasts because I get to hear about your crazy weekends. I didn't know y'all did that. I remember
It
you
was a
asking
good
me about a
time.
jumpy, but I didn't know y'all kicked the kids out and y'all started using them.
Well, they had to go to bed at some point, so.
So let's just say the vodka must have went over well. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was good. I know people kept asking, "Where'd you get all this vodka from?" And I was like, "Oh, I just have a really good boss."
That's the beauty of having events and being able to keep the surplus. The first event we did is the big Cabo party. We ran out of bourbon and found out. Anyway, some of it was disappearing, but yeah, we ended up with several the last few. So that's left over from Cabo. But today, for just FYI, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. I'd say educational, but as we pointed out, neither one of us are doctors or work in the medical field. So take this as friendly advice and go research and do your own research before you do anything based on what we say. Check with your medical provider, please. But today, we're not going to talk much about cancer. We're going to talk about raising money.
And we're very good at that.
Well, I'd like to think so. Yeah, gaming. But I tell you, when we started Shirley's Way, I told you this before. One of my biggest fears is we would start and have an event and nobody would show up. And it's a gut-wrenching feeling to worry and worry and worry that you put all this time and effort into something and nobody shows up. And we had one, maybe two events that very few people showed up, and it was really punch in the stomach because you think that everybody supports you, and we got a lot of support, a lot of friends, and people are busy these days. And they don't always have time to go to events and things like that. And I totally get it. But when you put a lot of work into something, it's just tough to see that nobody shows up, especially with social media, because it's tough for people these days, especially with us, because we promote and talk a lot about what we do. So for somebody to say, I didn't know what was going on, it's kind of tough to swallow.
Yeah, I just had that about my last event.
Did you?
Several of my friends, they were like, "Oh, we didn't know it was this week." I said, "I told you all tickets were going to sell out and you didn't buy your tickets." And
probably 20 times.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, because we're very busy on social media, and it's even funnier when people that we know post on social media, who do you recommend for heating and air? How many times have you heard our Right Mechanical story? Or who do you recommend for cleaning or buying a house or getting a mortgage or a realtor? We have all those people, and we talk about them at least three times a week at all of our drawings.
Yep.
But raising money outside of raising kids is probably one of the most difficult things to do. Everybody has their own causes and things they believe in, and some people just don't donate, and some people just don't give, and that's fine. It's their money. But when you're really passionate about something and you talk about it all the time, you think it's a no-brainer for people to donate, but it's not. Getting people to turn loose of a few bucks is very difficult. So we've went down a path of we're trying to get regular monthly donors. What's that? $10 a month. We're trying
just $10.
Yeah. $10. We're trying to get 1,000 $10 monthly donors a month, which would be $10,000 a month. That would help us out tremendously because we've given away over $1 million back to people who are in need in our local community. But getting people to turn loose of that is very, very difficult. And we've got, if you look at all of our sites and Facebook pages and Instagram and Twitter accounts, we've probably got 20,000 followers. And we got a huge database of people, almost 10,000 people that we send emails out to regularly and text messages, and we're hitting all those points. But getting people to sign up for $10 a month is tough. But, several years ago, we got a gaming license here in the state of Kentucky, and we started doing raffles. And those have seemed like they've done pretty well.
I think so.
Yeah. And one of our sites, gohaffers.com, actually on the way in here, we had a discussion with a dental charity about how difficult it's been since COVID has been around to have events and raise money. Their goal is to raise $10,000 this year to help kids with teeth problems, and they're struggling doing that. But we started doing raffles. One was the Big Queen of Hearts. You remember when that started?
At least 4 years ago.
Yeah. And we were selling paper tickets, and we really wanted to get online. Before my mom died with cancer, and some guys had went to lunch one day and started talking about why don't they do raffles at events? And you figure you got a captive audience at sporting events of 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people in some cases. Some NFL games have 80,000 people, which is insane. But if you get everybody throwing a few bucks, and do a raffle at halftime, the money raised would be astronomical, and found out that was totally illegal.
Do you remember when I went to that Cowboys game?
I do.
It was what, halftime or not halftime? I don't remember what it was. It was like $900,000
I
or
know.
something crazy.
I know, it's insane. So the winner would win $450,000, but that was the gist of what we were trying to do. And that's what we were talking about at lunch one day. And I did all kinds of research and found out it's completely illegal to do any type of raffle or gaming. This is the intro into the gaming world for me. Completely illegal to do it for profit. And I thought, what in the world? So anyway, but I didn't know they were doing those at those events, at NFL and hockey. I think it started at hockey games, doing raffles at events. Yeah, so I started researching and figured out it was totally illegal to do it for profit as a for-profit organization, which later I found out that it's not really, you could do it. You just have to have special licenses. When we're talking about here in the state of Kentucky, I don't know what it is across other states. But after Mom passed, we started Shirley's Way. We figured out how tough it was to get people to events and get people to donate. And I thought, what about that raffle idea that we had talked about a long time ago at lunchtime with some friends? So started doing research, and you had to get a gaming license in the state of Kentucky. You have to have a 501c3 and have filed 3 previous tax returns before you can even apply. So we had to wait several years. But once we got that gaming license, we started doing raffles and split the pots, and things like that. And then we came up with the game, obviously, Queen of Hearts. You want to talk a little bit about that and how that works?
Sure. I don't know. Well, your story about how you got it started, you can talk about. But yeah, the Queen of Hearts is just a split the pot, $2 a ticket. We sell them on queenofheartslive.org now. Since COVID, we have went all digital, which has been great. But pretty much the buyer buys a $2 ticket, whatever the pot total gets up to. If their name is drawn and the card that they want is the Queen of Hearts, then they'll get half, and Shirley's Way gets the other half.
Yeah, the first one we did was all paper tickets. We didn't have the digital capabilities, and we had actually built a site called gohalfers.com. It's just a split the pot website. It's a basic split the pot website. And we were doing that, and it cost a lot of money to have that website built. But the Queen of Hearts got up so high. The Gaming Commission told me about this Queen of Hearts drawing when I went to them and talked to them about building a split the pot website. And they said, what you really need to do is do this Queen of Hearts thing. I was like, yeah, whatever. I blew them off and didn't do it. And a friend of mine was in Chicago. Actually, another friend of mine, she sent me a message, said, hey, you need to look in this game. I blew her off. I didn't think much about it. And then a friend of mine was up in the Chicago area, and there was a bar doing a game called Queen of Hearts. And he said, you really need to look into this. He said, that pot total is getting up into the millions. And I just couldn't believe it. So I looked it up on YouTube, and he was right. It was unbelievable. McHenry, Illinois, in a bar. I guess the gaming rules in Chicago or Illinois are totally different than Kentucky, but a bar was doing it and paying out most of the money. And I believe it got to $7 million. Well, that got my attention. And I reached out to a couple of restaurant owners that I knew here in Louisville, and just said, hey, I got this interesting game. Are you interested in doing this with us and being a partner? And one of them got back immediately, Khalil's, and that's what we did. So we started selling tickets, paper tickets, rolls and rolls of them. And that pot total before it paid out got to almost $800,000. At that point, we had a little money, obviously, to give back to patients. At that time, we were giving away $30,000 a month to people who were sick and who were in need. But we took some of that money and built our websites. And we've got 4 websites now, gaming websites that you can buy tickets on, $2 a piece. We do Queen of Hearts. And then Wednesday and Friday, we do what?
Wednesday's Joker's Wild, and then Friday's Wheel of Cash.
And all games are the same concept. We got all 3 games that you can get at a bingo distributor and built websites around them. And it made it easy for people across town to buy tickets. And we've really been pushing the Gaming Commission of Kentucky to allow us to continue to do digital raffles, which means you buy your tickets online and you pick the winner digitally. We did it for a while. They had an emergency regulation because of COVID to allow it. But now we're back to printing and putting tickets in a cylinder, which makes it, it's just a lot of extra work that we weren't doing before. But those games have captured a lot of attention. And actually, on the way in here, we had another organization contact us about doing a split the pot. Yeah, and they were asking because they're just having a very difficult time raising money. So we may be doing one for them. But we'll split the money with the organization. We'll set it all up, and they help promote it, and we'll split the money raised with them. And it's been working pretty good. We've done some with the Aero Fund. But it's interesting to see when the pot totals get high, people are buying tickets left and right. And when they're low, the ticket sales completely bottom out. So we're trying to figure that out. But we were just notified yesterday, and I didn't know this, that Shirley's Way total gross receipts, money in, has taken in $3.2 million last year in 2020 because of gaming. That's the impact. And we were number 1 in Jefferson County in Kentucky and number 14 in the state. Can you believe that?
No,
I had no idea. But we brought in 3.2 million. I haven't looked at the numbers. I just really paid
number 1. How much did they bring in?
The number 1 in the state was like 17 million, and I didn't look to see who it was, but I couldn't figure out what it was they were doing, if they had electronic pull tab machines or what. But gaming has been good. 3.2 million. I wish we had that money in the bank, but 3.2 million in 2020, that's gross receipts. What they don't tell you is every dollar gamed, we have to pay a percentage to the gaming commission. So we paid them, I don't know, close to $30,000. Basically, it's a gaming tax for charities that have to pay that they're allowed to game. But we brought in 3.2 million, paid out 2.9 million. So, or 2.98 million. So think about that. That's a lot of money to pay out to people
in a year.
Yeah, who participate in our games. Because it's a lot of work, for one, promoting these all the time and getting people to convince them to buy tickets. But I had no idea we were number 1 in Jefferson County until a friend of mine sent me this report. That was incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, because, we do a lot. How are our machines? I mean, people are playing those quite a bit. How do those work?
So we have electronic pull tab machines. They play similar to slots, except they don't. My biggest thing when I tell people, they don't roll or they don't spin like a slot machine. But you sit down, you put your cash in the same way. Most games pay out 91 to 93%. But you have different denominations. You can play a quarter up to some games max out at $5, and they play similar to a slot machine.
But they don't get taxed on the money because each time they hit the button to spin or to play the game, you could win $600 each time you hit that button. Yeah, $5.99. So we've had several people win $1,800 in a day, $900 in a day, $5.99 in a day. But they've been going over pretty well.
Yeah, you check the report every day, so you know.
I do. I try to see how much is gamed, and actually, I think $500,000 has went through there this year already. And I wish we made that. Again, we get 91 to 93%, just depending on how much somebody wagers. But it's been very helpful to us. Yeah, actually, gaming has kept us alive during COVID. We've got several $10 monthly donors, but we're not close to the 1,000, which is what we're shooting for. But regular monthly donors in gaming has kept us alive.
Well, I mean, other people know 2020, you couldn't have any event. So literally, I got brought on at the end of 2019. This was supposed to be my job, was events. And then COVID hit and I couldn't do one event. So I kind of morphed into a podcast / TV host / gaming.
Yeah. It's crazy how things transform, but you've been very flexible on it. So I'm glad, we could have had somebody that said that's not my job, and you wouldn't be here if you ever said that, because I don't believe in that. But but yeah, gaming has been huge for us. It's interesting. People can buy a $2 ticket or a $5 ticket is typically what our tickets run, and could get something back on it. We did one for a family the other day, and the girl that won, she buys tickets all the time, and she goes, "Great, I'm taking that money because I'm going to another event for this family."
I was going to buy raffle tickets and things like that for auction items. So yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think out of 2020, if anybody's learned anything, it's to be flexible.
Yeah.
And to be creative, because if you weren't, then you didn't make it. Yeah. I wish I knew how many charities didn't make it.
I don't know. We could probably look that up. The stats before was most charity organizations fail within 2 years, and most will fail in 5 years. And we probably would have failed if it wasn't going down this gaming path, because talking money out of people to be able to come come to events and get them to make donations is difficult. It's one of the most difficult things, like I said, I've ever done, except for raising kids. Raising kids or raising money. Raising something is very difficult. But
well, because I know at one point, well, you still, I think, have a hard time hearing the word no.
Yeah.
Like it, so if
hurts my feelings.
Yeah,
actually.
but you also don't ask for money a lot. So instead of asking for someone, for a donation, you could say, hey, do you want to buy a $2 ticket? And you could win half of this. People like to win stuff.
They do.
So instead of just giving a $10 donation, they play $20 a week, and they're still helping us.
Yeah. For people that sign up at shirleysway.org, we were trying to do it monthly, but we haven't been too good at it. But we're trying actually to give away, we're calling them virtual door prizes, because if you're a $10 monthly donor, we got sponsors that give us stuff quite a bit. And when they do, we try to give that back to our monthly donors. So if you sign up as a $10 monthly donor, we've got a raffle for that. So we try to raffle things off all the time, because we live in a world of, and there's a lot of good people, but we're in a time where money is short and it's tough for people to just give. So if there's an option that they might be able to win something, it's a win-win for everybody. And when we first started doing these Go Half or Split the Pots, people are like, oh, I'm donating the money back. I'm like, no, you're not. We tell people that all the time. No, you're not. We don't want you to give the money back, because one, it's not the $50 or $100 that you would win at a Catholic picnic. It's typically $1,000 or $2,000. And that's a lot of money to give up. And we don't want people to do that. But legally, I've been to a lot of events. And since and I consider myself highly educated to this point on gaming, I know what you're supposed to do in most instances and how to handle it. Did you know it's illegal for money for people to give the money back?
Nope.
Yeah, they have to. It's not really illegal, but you have to have some documentation around it. You're actually supposed to write them a check, and then they turn around and donate it back, unless it's smaller amounts. But you have to do quite a bit of documentation. But I've been at several, and I pick on the Catholics. I'm Catholic, so I can do that. But I pick on the Catholics because they're heavily into gaming with bingos and raffles and spin wheel picnics and stuff like that, which we have a spin wheel too. So we'll get into that one.
It's a nice wheel.
Yeah, we have all the gaming covered. So, but I see it all the time. And again, you're not talking about a lot of money. Or the Texas poker they do. You ever seen that? We did that one time, and that's completely illegal. All the Catholics and picnics, I see them do it, and I'm never going to turn anybody in. It's none of my business, and it's more power to them. But they'll take a deck of cards. You'll buy a card for $1 or $2 or $5. You'll buy a card. You'll pick however many cards you want, and they tear the cards in half. You get half the card, and they put the other half in a bucket. What's wrong with that?
I don't know.
I didn't think about it either, but I brought it up because I wanted to get a license to do Texas poker. They call it Texas poker at some events we did. And they said, you can't do that. I was like, what do you mean? They do them all the time at picnics and stuff. They said, it's illegal. I said, why is it illegal? Because in the state of Kentucky, every ticket that goes in a cylinder, put them in a bucket and doing a drawing is illegal. It has to go in a cylinder.
Yeah. Has to be the same size.
Exactly right. Every ticket, every card has to be the exact same size, thickness, color, no identifiable marks, because
they all have to be the same price. Everyone has to
that's right.
Pay the same price for every ticket. I knew that one.
Yeah. I see people all the time saying you can buy $5 tickets or get 3 for $15. That's completely,
or an arm length.
Yeah, completely.
Your arm length is way bigger than
I used to go to golf scrambles, and people would ask me to do it because I've got like a 20-foot arm length.
No kidding.
Span. Yeah. So, and I don't realize how big my hands are. Anyway, but yeah, I watch this all the time. And again, I would never say anything. I would never turn anybody in, but it's illegal to do that. Every ticket has to have the same value. Every ticket has to be the same size, thickness, everything, no color marks, nothing that could be identifiable if you pull them in. So my next thought was I wanted to create a deck of cards that had a perforation through the middle.
Yeah.
So that way all cards will be the same size, thickness, and everything. But it seems like I looked that up and somebody already beat me to that. But
idea.
But we talked about ROI before, and you'd asked me what that was. But
return on investment.
That's right. So if you buy a deck of cards and those deck of cards are perforated through the middle, you can buy a deck of cards for 99 cents. But I'm sure a perforated deck of cards would be highly more expensive. So it could cost you a lot of money to buy those deck of cards just to rip them in half and put them in a bucket. But I don't even know if that's legal because they told me they didn't. Texas poker wasn't legal at the gaming. I need to ask them that if I create a perforated deck of cards.
We email the gaming commission once a day.
Do what?
I said we email the gaming commission once a day with questions or.
Yeah, they all know me. Yeah, but I guess if we're bringing in that much money via gaming, I guess they know who all the players are.
Mm-hmm. I think they like us.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, with the general counsel of Kentucky Gaming, I sent him a message. I said, I'm sorry to be sending you this many messages, and I know you would wish I would go away. He goes, absolutely not. He said, we're glad that you're trying to do things right. And I said, well, I don't look good in orange or stripes. So I don't really want to go to jail for something that we're trying to do to raise money. But he's like, no, please send all the questions. Like, good. So he probably just said that, but technically probably is thinking, I wish you'd just go away.
Well, at least you do things by the book.
Yeah, we try.
That's nice.
We try. But it's crazy the things that you see organizations doing that are the perfectly illegal. Another good one, and me and a friend of mine that's heavily involved in bingo, he gets aggravated at this and these pull tabs. Have you seen that?
On Facebook and stuff, people are selling pull tabs. Yeah.
Yeah, and people are buying them left and right, and these people have built huge followings, which to me is pretty cool. I'm looking at it as, how did you get that many people following you and participating on Facebook? Mm-hmm. But it goes back to gaming. People will Venmo money to buy a handful of pull tabs and sit there and watch somebody else open them via video. It's really cool, but it's not legal.
So, like, if you win, I mean, well, I guess you don't have to claim anything because it would be less than $5.99. So
I don't know.
I don't either.
I'm not sure. Maybe that's where Dogecoin comes in, which I have no idea what any of that is. But yeah, Venmo, people will Venmo these people that are ripping pull tabs, and they'll have a video on them in their hands. But I'm trying to figure out, because that's heavily regulated in the state of Kentucky, to the point where we got to inventory all the boxes of pull tabs we have. We have to show how much money. Gaming's a pain. It really is. Not the commission. Gaming in general is a lot of work. Documentation, financial reports, and if you don't do it correctly, they'll fine you or take your license. But we have to, all of our boxes of pull tabs in the back, we have to have the serial numbers on, have to have them listed. The Gaming Commission has to know the serial numbers of the boxes we have, the serial numbers of the cards, and when they paid out, and how much paid, and which one was the winner. And these people doing this on Facebook Live, they're not doing any of that. I've heard they're buying their boxes of pull tabs in Indiana, which I guess you don't have to have a gaming license to buy pull tabs in Indiana. We can't even buy pull tabs without having a gaming license in Kentucky stating that we're allowed to buy the pull tabs. The bingo distributors won't sell them to you. So I don't know how they're doing it. But for those of you that are participating in that, I'm not going to tell on you, but it's really, really illegal what those people are doing, because they're pocketing the money, which is, it's creative. I'm not knocking them for it, but it really makes it difficult when we have to fill out all the quarterly reports and everything that we do via our charity. Maybe we got to start buying pull tabs in Indiana so nobody can track them.
Right. Well, I know we've had several other charities and organizations that have called, and they want to get into gaming. They want to do a Queen of Hearts, and they don't realize how much work goes into it.
No, they don't.
Mike answers any questions that people have, but like he always says, it's like KFC giving out their secret recipe. I mean, we can't tell all of our stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I want to help these people, and we have people sending us messages all the time. Can you help us build a website with Queen of Hearts and stuff like that? And what they don't realize is we got about $15,000 now invested in all these websites.
I was going to say, it's expensive. It's time consuming.
Yeah. And then the licenses to stream from a tool that we use on the computer to stream to the internet, to YouTube, for all the drawings, all the equipment, all the cameras. We got a green room, like a TV studio in the back of our office. We do all this stuff, but that was not expensive. I added up the amount of electronic and digital equipment that we have, cameras, computers, and all that stuff. And it was unbelievable. You know how I am. I'll sit here and think about something. It'll drive me crazy. I was sitting in a room one day, and they had just put in new sprinklers in our office because we had to have a couple extras by the building code. And I'm sitting back there, and my mind starts wandering. I think I've got ADD or ADHD. What's
you
that?
Think?
You think I do?
ADD?
I don't know what it is, where your mind just starts wandering. So Kelly's prepping for the drawing and doing stuff, and I'm looking up at the ceiling and looking down at our equipment. I said, do you have any idea how much equipment we have in here, how much it's worth? And I said, none of it's insured. So I kind of had a little freak out moment right there and listed everything. And we've got over $120,000 in digital electronic computers, cameras, equipment, lights in that room.
And none of that would have been possible without the first Queen of Hearts and sponsors.
And sponsors. The sponsors have covered most of that. Thank you all for so much. But yeah, it was unbelievable. And I kind of had a panic moment because those sprinklers had been leaking.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, what if these things go off? All this equipment's gone. It's destroyed. TVs. We had several TVs, huge screen TVs that were donated by a corporation here in Louisville. And it just I couldn't type fast enough to my insurance agent to say, hey, make sure each one of these things are listed to make sure it's insured in case.
Yeah, so just think about all of that money, all of that time put into that, and then other organizations trying to do the same thing. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
And I don't know anyone that's been as successful as us.
I don't. As far as the digital drawings, especially, I know several people are trying to do it. I know people are selling online. When we first started out, we were handwriting tickets. So you would buy tickets online. We get an email, and in the state of Kentucky, every person has to have a ticket stub or a receipt. So they agreed to allow us to fill out the ticket, take a picture of the ticket, and email them their ticket stub. We had to do that for every ticket purchased for over a year. And my handwriting sucks. So I started out handwriting all these things, and my kids were helping me. And we were at a dinner one night, and I had to get all these processed, and I had stacks of tickets. So next thing you know, everybody around me, I gave them access to my Gmail account, and they would log in on their phones in their Gmail account, and they'd start at the bottom of the email list, and I would start at the top, and they would open it, fill it out, take a picture of it, and email it back to the person. And we had 6 people sitting. It was supposed to be at dinner on a Saturday night, and I had to have this done before the next day. So everybody was sitting there helping me do these tickets. It was crazy what we had to go through.
Imagine.
Yeah. But that's how we started.
Well, now it's nice though that we have all this built and we have the ability to help other organizations.
Yeah.
So like he said on the way here, we had, someone called and they need to raise money, and they don't really have a good way to do it. So we were talking about a Go Halfers for them.
Yeah.
And obviously we'll get a little bit of that for all of our time and money and invested. But if you have an organization out there, or,
school, church,
anything, and you need some money raised and you're not opposed to gaming, some people are. I know there's some people that don't believe in gaming. But Shirley's Way would love to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can set it up. And especially other organizations will basically almost split the money. We take a little bit more because we got so much invested in licenses, and we still have to pay our website guy. And I'll never say who he is. And he promised me he would never build any websites like these because it is a pain on him too. The stuff that he has to do monthly, weekly with patches and upgrades and exports and new versions of software, and it never fails. We'll upgrade the software and the export won't work correctly. And he's like, I love doing this for you all, but he said, I don't think I'd ever take this on for another organization. I said, good, because we don't need our competition. I guess you can call it competition, to know how it is and what we're doing.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but yeah, we would love to help other organizations raise some money using our websites. We actually was talking with a school that can't do their annual festival because the pastor won't allow them because of COVID. So we've been talking to them, and we have the power to do it. It's just the Archdiocese of Louisville, is a little on the fence because this is so new. It's a new way to help other organizations and partner with organizations to raise money.
Yeah. I will say we just had our first in-person event last Friday. Mike wasn't really a part of it. It was a ladies' night out, but it was really fun. We did it. We co-hosted with another foundation, the Leslie and Ryan Prather Foundation, and it was a great turnout. It was awesome to see a bunch of people come out again. Not as many as we'd hoped because of COVID, but we have a car show coming up in a couple weeks. So we're kind of getting back to some of our in-person events. But like he said, this past year. If it wasn't for online raffles and gaming, we never would have made it through, I don't think.
No, we had about 5 events a year to raise money. We had a 5K at one time. We did it several years, and it was a lot of fun. I'm not sure we'll get back to that just because it's kind of off everybody's radar. It was tough to get it's not only tough to get people to show up, but it's also tough to get the permits and stuff you need. And we would have it at Iroquois Park here in Louisville, and they were good people to work with, but we've dealt with some people that were very difficult over there to get permits, or the maintenance staff would get mad about something. And it's insane what you got to do to get events. So if you're out there planning events, you have no idea what it takes to get things done. I mean, you got a car show coming up, and it's been tough to get people to buy tickets online just because you get a free t-shirt if you pre-register. And, it was tough to get people to sign up and get their shirt sizes and get the shirts ordered. And, it's a nightmare. Now you've been working on getting porta cans and stuff like that. So
yeah, I went from a very formal event last Friday, everybody in dresses and cocktails, to I'm ordering porta potties for an outdoor car show. So
yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm excited though.
Yeah, but it's again, events, online gaming in general is a lot of work to raise for charity. And there's a TED Talk out there talking about raising money in charities, and we have to rethink this thing. You and I've talked about this.
This is a good TED Talk.
Yeah, you've watched the video. And basically the guy says you cannot have a bake sale and raise the kind of money you need to change the world's problems. So, when we first started out, we were selling t-shirts, and, even if you get a cheap t-shirt person to print cheap t-shirts, you're only making a couple bucks a shirt. You can't change society's problems by selling t-shirts unless you have a mass production shipping around the world and sell hundreds of thousands of t-shirts. We didn't have that. And that is a real pain unless you have some sort of distribution set up that can handle mass shipping of items like that. A lot of work went into selling shirts online, and we might make $100. And it's just not worth it. At some point, we talked about this. At some point, it's not worth your time and while to raise $50 because everybody has all the intentions in the world. You see these restaurant days, and I'll never forget. We had our first restaurant day. I can't think of the name of the place. It used to be out in front of Lowe's. They may have been closed before you were in high school. I'm trying to think of what
Chili's?
It was. No, it was an ice cream place or a Frogurt place or Froyo place.
Oh, Orange Leaf.
Yeah, Orange Leaf. It was out there. Was that around when you were in grade school?
No.
Yeah, you're like a puppy. But I just, I had our first one, and I thought, man, we're going to raise all kinds of money. We get 10% of all sales, and we had a ton of people go, and they gave us a check for like $98. So these restaurant days are really cool, but they don't raise a lot of money for the organizations. They're good for the restaurant, which, it's good for them. But all that effort into promoting and pushing, and you get $98. And I was just I thought, this is really cool. We'll probably make about $500 or $600. Wasn't even close. The best restaurant days, and I need to get with Diane, was when we had them at Mark's Speed Store. We were rocking those.
Really?
Yeah, but yeah, the restaurant days are fun. They're cool, but you don't make a lot of money. But at some point, where I was going with this, you have to look at the effort involved, the hours involved, and if you can't make $3,000 to $5,000 at an event, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Because it's so much work to raise money. You can spend hours and hours and hours into something and make $500, and it's just a lot of time and taxing. But this TED Talk, this guy you look it up. I've got it somewhere if I can pull it up while I'm sitting here. But I love this TED Talk because he is right. He nailed it. And we might post it on this podcast just for you to find it. But he nailed it. He's like, raising money is difficult. And he talks about a charity that they had started that got shut down because they brought in a ton of money and started using money to do some advertising and things like that. Well, people got mad because you were spending money to advertise and to market. And I don't care what organization you're in, you need to market because people aren't going to pay attention to you. But the TED Talk, I think his name is Dan, but he talks about the name of it is The Way We Think About Charity is Dead Wrong. And that's where I got my saying, you can't have a brownie sale or a bake sale and make the money you need, because I think that's what he says. I'm kind of copying off what he said, but he's right. You cannot sell cookies unless you're the Girl Scouts of America, which is, by the way, the Girl Scouts actually make very little money off those cookies. The national organization makes most of the money.
So say they're $5 a box. They should be making a killing.
I know. When my daughter was a Girl Scout, I think they made 50 cents a box or something like that. So they would sell 2,000 boxes and make, $1,000.
What's that?
I don't know. I was asking. I was getting ready to ask you.
I think it's 1,000.
It's not much. When you make 50 cents a box and you push cases and cases and cases and cases of those, which I thought was interesting. I think last year they finally started selling Girl Scout cookies online, because you go back to all the work it takes to make $400 or $500. It's not worth it. But yeah, head out to that TED Talk if you're listening and listen to the way we think about charity is dead wrong. It's a dead talk, and it will wake you up, because he really not only talks about bake sales that aren't going to raise the money. He talks about how they were marketing and rocking and rolling and bringing in millions. And when people started complaining about you're putting money into marketing, but if you put in $50,000 in marketing and you bring in $2 million, to me, that's a pretty good ROI, return on your investment.
I know. Is there an acronym for time, like ROT?
I don't know. Maybe we can create that. Hashtag ROT.
I also think that's why you've made it, though, because you're not, you have to spend money to make money in a lot of aspects. So yeah, you have to be able to have a budget for some marketing and put in some money to brand yourself. Yeah,
because in today's world on social media, used to you could post all kinds of things on social media, but if for Facebook example, Zuckerberg has figured out to tweak the algorithms to where people don't see the things you post unless you boost post it, and he's being paid to run your ad, which is creative on his part, but it's kind of stingy when he's worth how many billions of dollars, and he's done this to organizations, but spent so much time building these Facebook pages, and they're useless.
Yeah.
We're working with a local organization that's got 75,000 followers. They'll post it on their Facebook page. You won't get one response out of 75,000 people. No response. It blows me away. But if you boost post or pay to run the ad on that platform, you'll get all kinds of hits. Learned a lot about that kind of stuff over the past 6 months. But yeah, get out there and listen to that TED Talk about how you think about charity is dead wrong, because he actually talks about you can, if you, and a lot of people have brought this to my attention, and I used to think the same way. But if you got a CEO that, and I'm not saying CEO should make millions and millions in charity, but think about this. Think about this scenario. And he talks about this. You find a CEO that can bring in $10 million and you pay him $500,000 a year. That's a pretty good investment. But that guy is labeled a crook because a charity is paying him $500,000 a year. But he brought in $10 million. Without this person, guy or girl, without this person, you wouldn't have that $9.5 million to spend on your charity. So reverse it. The good people that can raise the money don't go work for charities. They go work for major corporations so they can make more money. They turn around and write a $500,000 check to the charity, and they're listed as a hero. But yet, if they work for the charity making $500,000 and they bring in $9.5 million, they're listed as a crook. And you have to really look at that, because charities have to look at ROI when it comes to that kind of stuff. If you got somebody bringing in $20 million a year, I'm okay paying them $1 million, because you wouldn't have that $20 million a year if it wasn't for that person. And I bring we just had a conversation yesterday with somebody. What is today? Yesterday. And you were standing there, and I'll tell you who it was after we leave. But he was like, I'm sick and tired of these organizations paying millions of dollars, but these organizations bring in millions, and that person at the head of it is the one responsible. But you can make a good living in charity and still bring in a lot of money without paying millions. It's just a matter where the person's heart is. But
I think you run your charity like a business.
You do.
And that's how it should be.
You do. You have to market. If you don't, people won't pay attention. It's these people that complain and won't give us $10 a month, but yet they want to complain how we spend our money. You're not helping us spend the money. You're not helping us bring it in. But anyway, that's our thoughts on raising money. It's difficult. I have people send us messages all the time saying, we want to start a charity organization. How did you do it? Man, I don't know.
I mean, the 501c3 paperwork alone was like 100 pages, wasn't it?
Yeah, and when we did it, it was a $900 fee to the IRS, and it cost me $6,000 in attorney's fees because I didn't know who to ask, and I used the only person that would help us, and the meter was running every time I had a discussion with them, which I didn't know that. So just FYI, attorneys are good, but they're expensive. So just plan for it. So the first bunch of shirts we sold went to the attorney for helping us get our 501c3. So, and then later you always had those people, well, I could have done it for you for $500. I know how to do it. Well, where were you when I was begging for somebody to help us fill out this paperwork?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, what are the ways for people to help Shirley's Way, Kelly, via donations or gaming? We got a lot going on.
We do. First up, donations. Obviously, we're pushing always for $10 monthly donors. You all think about it. That's literally a cup of fancy coffee. That's what we always say. So give up one Starbucks coffee. I love Starbucks, so that's not a knock at them.
I think it's a bag of sliders, too. Do you know what sliders are?
White Castle?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
How much is a sack of sliders? We need to look that up. You have any idea, Andrew?
No. A Big Mac meal is almost $10, though.
Yeah, I know.
Devour one of those.
Yeah, fancy coffee or a sack of sliders. We're going to start using that one.
Yeah, so just give one of those up once a month. You won't even realize it's gone. But we'd love to have you as a donor at shirleysway.org. And then obviously all of our raffles, queenofheartslive.org on Mondays, jokerswildlive.org on Wednesdays, and then Wheel of Cash Live on Fridays. And then our Go Haffers. That's gohafferslive.org as well. And we always have multiple, usually different charities and organizations on there that we're raising money for. So.
Yep. And you forgot one. 2020, we're raffling off a car.
2021.
That's right. You beat me.
You're behind.
God, I'm still in the point of writing 2020 on everything. I still haven't switched over to 20.
We are. We're raffling off a 1951 Ford Custom Coupe.
That's
so
right.
It's $10 a ticket, cancercarraffle.org. Get on there and get your tickets.
Thank you so much.
See ya.